On a brisk autumn afternoon at JFK International Airport, the bustling crowds seemed more intense than usual. Reporters and onlookers filled the terminal, all hoping to catch a glimpse of the president's youngest son, Barron Trump, who had recently captured the nation's heart with his charismatic appearances. Amidst the flashing cameras and hushed whispers, a young woman named Emily stood out, not for her outspokenness but for her discretion. She was a dedicated but unobtrusive fan of Barron, drawn not just to his public persona but to his quiet charm and unexpected wit. Emily had learned through online forums that Barron would be traveling that day. With a mix of excitement and nervousness, she found herself at the airport, dressed in nondescript clothing to blend in with the crowd. As Barron entered the terminal, surrounded by security, Emily's heart raced. She kept a respectful distance but followed closely enough to observe him interact with the airport staff and bystanders. Despite her best efforts to stay unnoticed, Emily's careful steps faltered when she unexpectedly locked eyes with Barron as he turned to survey the crowd. In that moment, a wave of fear washed over her. Had she overstepped her bounds? Her admiration for him was profound, but she never intended to make him uncomfortable. To her surprise, Barron's expression softened, and he turned away, continuing on his path without alerting security. Emily exhaled a silent sigh of relief, her decision to follow him suddenly weighing heavily on her. She contemplated leaving, but her feet moved of their own accord, still trailing him from a safe distance, captivated by the normalcy of his demeanor in such an abnormal setting. As they approached the security checkpoint, Emily watched as Barron interacted kindly with a young child ahead of him in line, bending down to tie the boy's shoelaces that had come undone. The crowd murmured appreciatively, smartphones capturing every moment. Emily's heart warmed at the scene. This was the Barron she admired, one who showed kindness when he thought no one important was watching. After passing through security, Barron's next stop was the VIP lounge, an area off-limits to most. Emily knew this was where her journey following Barron would end. She found a seat with a view of the lounge entrance and settled in, her mind replaying the brief connection they had shared. As she watched, a small commotion at the lounge entrance caught her attention. A well-dressed man was arguing with security, visibly upset and gesturing wildly. Emily's curiosity piqued. Disruptions involving high-profile figures like Barron were rare and usually well-contained. Unexpectedly, Barron emerged from the lounge, drawn by the noise. Emily watched as he approached the distressed man, his demeanor calm and collected. Their conversation was inaudible, but it was clear Barron was trying to defuse the situation. Emily marveled at his composure and maturity, qualities she had only seen glimpses of in the media. Meanwhile, the crowd in the terminal had grown, and whispers of Barron's presence had turned into a cacophony of voices. Emily felt a twinge of guilt for being part of the spectacle that followed him, yet she couldn't pull herself away. As she observed, the man calmed under Barron's steady gaze and firm words, finally nodding and stepping back, allowing Barron to shake his hand before returning to the lounge. It was then that Emily realized she wasn't the only one watching. Cameras flashed from all directions, capturing every moment of the encounter. The story would surely hit the news by evening, showcasing Barron's ability to handle pressure, a trait that the public seldom saw. As the excitement died down, Emily decided to leave, feeling that any further observation would only invade his privacy further. But as she stood to go, another unexpected twist occurred. Barron himself exited the lounge once more, this time heading directly towards her. As Barron approached, Emily's mind raced with possibilities. Was he aware of her following him? Did he recognize her from their earlier eye contact? Her questions were soon answered when he stopped directly in front of her, a slight smile playing on his lips. "Hi! I couldn't help but notice you've been here for a while," Barron said, his voice calm and devoid of accusation. "I hope there's nothing wrong?" Emily's heart pounded in her chest. This was her moment, a direct interaction with Barron Trump. Gathering her courage, she responded with as much poise as she could muster. "No, nothing's wrong. I'm just a fan, and I heard you might be traveling today. I guess I wanted to see you in person. I'm sorry if I made you uncomfortable." To her surprise, Barron's expression softened further, and he chuckled. No need to apologize. It's not every day I get to meet someone who supports me without needing anything in return. What's your name? Emily, she replied, feeling a mix of relief and disbelief at the turn of events. Well, Emily, how about a quick coffee? My flight's been delayed, and it's not often I get to step out of the usual routine. What do you say? Emily was taken aback by the offer but quickly accepted. They walked to a nearby coffee shop in the terminal, attracting curious glances from bystanders. Sitting across from Barron Trump in such an ordinary setting, Emily felt a surreal blend of normalcy and astonishment. As they talked, Emily found Barron to be surprisingly down-to-earth. He shared insights into his life, the pressures of public attention, and his aspirations beyond the political sphere. Emily listened intently, offering her thoughts and enjoying the genuine connection being formed. As they sipped their coffee, the initial awkwardness gave way to a comfortable camaraderie. Barron was curious about Emily's interests, and she shared her passion for photography and her dreams of traveling the world to capture its diverse cultures and landscapes. Barron listened intently, genuinely interested in her stories and perspectives. However, the tranquility of their interaction was short-lived. The presence of Barron Trump in a public area of the airport, casually having coffee with a fan, had not gone unnoticed. Passers-by began to whisper, and soon, their quiet corner was buzzing with subdued excitement. The flash of cameras resumed, and the sense of privacy quickly evaporated. Barron glanced around, his brow furrowing slightly at the intrusion. It seems we've attracted a crowd, he noted, a hint of resignation in his tone. I guess this is part of my reality, but I'm sorry it has to affect you too, Emily. Emily shrugged, a small smile on her face. It's okay. I knew what might happen if I came to see you today. I'm just grateful for this chance to talk to you. It's more than I expected. Seeing her understanding, Barron smiled, and they continued their conversation, trying to ignore the increasing number of onlookers. They discussed books, movies, and even touched on the complexities of growing up in the public eye, which Barron described with a mix of humor and sincerity. As their time together drew to a close, Barron looked at Emily with a thoughtful expression. You know, this has been one of the most normal conversations I've had in a long time. Thanks for treating me just like anyone else. Emily felt a pang of sympathy for the isolation that Barron's life entailed, touched by his gratitude for something as simple as a normal conversation. I'm glad I could provide that, even if just for a little while, she said. As their meeting neared its end, Barron checked his watch and sighed. I need to head back soon. My team will be looking for me, and I can't delay any longer without causing a stir. He stood up, and Emily followed, feeling a mix of disappointment and gratitude. Before they parted, Barron reached into his jacket and pulled out a small notepad. He scribbled something quickly, then tore out the page and handed it to Emily. Here's my contact information, he said quietly. I don't usually do this, but I think you're someone who understands the balance I'm always trying to find. Feel free to send me your photos or just reach out if you ever want to talk. Emily took the paper, her hands trembling slightly. Thank you, Barron. This means a lot to me. And thank you for the coffee and for sharing your thoughts. It's been unforgettable. They walked together back towards the VIP lounge. As they approached the entrance, Barron turned to Emily one last time. Today was a good reminder that there are still unexpected and genuine moments to be had, even in my position. I'm glad you were part of that. With a final smile, Barron disappeared behind the security doors, leaving Emily standing there, holding the piece of paper like a precious artifact. Around her, the crowd dispersed slowly, the spectacle over, and the whispers dying down. As Emily left the airport, her mind replayed every moment of their conversation. She felt a new sense of inspiration and a profound respect for Barron, not just as a public figure but as a person. She knew this encounter would stay with her forever, a story of a simple meeting that turned into a moment of shared humanity. Back home, Emily framed the piece of paper with Barron's contact information, a memento of the day she met Barron Trump, not as the president's son, but as a kindred spirit. She smiled to herself, knowing that while the world saw him one way, she had seen another side, and that made all the difference.